Hey, what's up YouTube? It's your friend Miriam, aka LuckyNumber78, and welcome to Team Fortress 2. If you've gamed at all in the last 9 years, you've probably heard of TF2, and I've certainly played many hours of it in the past. But now it's time for a cool little throwback, as I'm gonna take to the old levels and shoot up some bad guys. Or good guys. The teams switch every time, and they're not really good guys and bad guys, it's red and blue, and you get my point. I'm gonna shoot some dudes. Let's do it. And even though there's a bunch of heavies on this team, I'm gonna be the heavy, because I'm always the freaking heavy, because I can't really play as anything else that well. Or at all. Ugh. Gotta remember how to play this game. I haven't played it in so long. There's like a health bar now. They've changed TF2 like a lot recently, and I was not prepared for that because TF2 hadn't previously changed in so freaking long. I was killed by the apple of her eye, whose logo appears to be boobs. I can't really talk though because my logo is Nozoevi from Love Live. It's a lesbian couple. Oh no, we lost! Damn it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Go blue team! I get it. This game is trying to be Overwatch when Overwatch was trying to be this game in the first place. But it still sucks. Damn. So now we've got health bars as well, which is awesome. Health bar. See, like a health bar sounds like a health spa combined with like a juice bar. Sounds like a nice place to go. Ah, I was killed by Louise from Bob's Burgers, apparently. Suck it. Alright, I need to heal, please. So yeah, now that I've healed, I'm reading this book, right? And, it's called, hold on, I'll think of the name. It's called The Platinum Age of Television, which sounds really cool, right? As someone who's a big proponent of modern TV and you know, the quality increases from the prior few years to, or the prior decades really, to the last few years, I really wanted to read this book, which purports to be like an insider's take on the changes that made that possible, right? And it started off really good. Like, it started off with this history of children's television that made it clear that the author really views his children's television as a, you know, legitimate genre that deserves to have its history sort of explored. Oh, I've been bonked. Look at me. Oh no. Ugh, that didn't work out. And, you know, I love that. As like a proponent of children's literature and TV and movies, that was really exciting for me. So I really enjoyed the beginning of the book. But then, like, he goes on to cartoons. Mostly, oh no, I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that. I want that. That was weird. Mostly cartoons for adults, because, you know, he's already covered children's lit. just walked off the edge of the map. Oops. There were two things wrong with this chapter. One is, it mentions anime as one sentence, as like, that was weird, as like, and then, by the 60s, anime had started, and there was Astro Boy and some other stuff. Like, that's basically the casualness with which they treat the subject. But then, you know, and I died. Big surprise. But then, also, when it comes to the Smurfs, he's like, oh yes, this cartoon, I forget which cartoon he was speaking about, but he's like, oh yes, or talking, or whatever, it's a book, so he wasn't speaking or talking, but whatever, writing about, I guess. He said, oh yes, this cartoon wasn't the Smurfs levels of bad, but it was still bad. And I'm like, what? Do people generally think the Smurfs is like a laughably bad show? Like, I don't think so. Okay, I'm on Team Red. That's cool. Doesn't really matter, because I'm gonna die. That was pretty spectacular. Yeah. So that threw me off. So those two were the only mentions in the entire Cartoons chapter of foreign properties. The one, Tezuka Osamu mention, and the other, the Smurfs, which I'm not even sure this author was aware are Belgian. Ow! Sniper! And then was the mention of 80s animation, which 80s animation is regarded as sort of an exciting era, right? Because the 70s were like total shit, and the 60s had some, you know, some weak spots, and, you know, and then the 80s came along, and there was He-Man and Thundar, and, you know, there were and Thundercats, and, you know, there were shows, there were good shows again that happened to be animated. This was literally glossed over in one sentence. Not one paragraph, one sentence. It was like, basically the sentence was like, then there were no good cartoons in the 80s. And then the 90s happened. Like, that's basically how, you know, or there were no good cartoons in the 80s, and then The Simpsons happened. I was killed by Kaneki Ken Ite. It's Ite. And that just rubbed me the wrong way. Like, he didn't even bother to figure out that there were valuable contributions in the 80s. He didn't even bother to figure out that there was good programming that came from countries other than America. He operated completely within an American bubble. And I'm still reading the book. I'm in the middle, I just finished the crime chapter. And he acts like these things come out of nowhere when, like, let's say there's, like, the first show to show, a cop as crooked or something. That comes out of the Yakuza movies filtered through the gangster movies of the, American, Hollywood 20 years earlier. Things like that. Like, he acts like there's a complete American bubble. He doesn't talk about France or England or Italy, and the tremendous impact that some of these countries have had on American television. Rather, he just acts like American television exists in a bubble that is only influenced by American television, and occasionally a foreign TV show, if I know it. I think this writer is extremely knowledgeable. Damn, I'm being dominated. I hate it. I think this writer is extremely knowledgeable, but, like, you can't, if you're writing a book that big, you can't expect to write the book only writing what you know and what you can, like, then elaborate on. Like, it doesn't work that way, right? Like, fuck. I was killed. I don't know, I'm a big proponent of research and broadening your horizons, especially when you're doing research. And when you're taking on a big, ambitious project, and trying to show the scope and evolution of something. It's like showing the food sources of humans, but refusing to show any plant matter. Right? Like, fucking scout. That's very frustrating to me. I've never written a long work of nonfiction, but I considered my papers to be very, very serious when I was in college. And I was an English major who intended to become a writer, so, like, there were higher stakes for me, I guess, than for most. I've always written my hardest. Ah, there we go. There's my revenge. I would say that I learned a lot of what I learned, period, in college, through guided solo work, researching for papers. A really good professor will tell you where to look, but then you have to do the work yourself. Those are the really talented professors who show you how to do that. And I actually had a few that took that approach and that really helped me do that. For instance, when I was a senior in college, I believe, I wrote a paper on Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra, and I basically posited that Cleopatra was the hero of the play. Like literally, if she were a man, you would have called her the tragic hero of, the romantic tragedy of Antony and Cleopatra. The way that some people call Antony, and I just died again. Like, oh my gosh, this just seemed completely natural, completely obvious to me. But I was reading all this scholarship from, like, these mostly men who claim to be scholars and experts on Shakespeare for hundreds of years, and they're like, oh yeah, Antony is the hero, and Cleopatra basically sucks, and she's this downfall, and yeah, that's just the way that you read the play, that's how the play works. And I was shocked. But, it did sort of make me, he was a spy, I should have shot him. Fuck. So yeah, if you think of Cleopatra as an annoying roadblock in the hero's journey of Anthony, maybe read that play again. You might be surprised. Oh, what were my arguments, you say? Well, for one, I don't remember. This was like 3 years ago. I don't have to tell you you're not my boss. Or my professor, or whatever. I mean, like, I had textual arguments. I'd have to, like, be able to read Shakespeare off the top of my head to tell you, which I can only sometimes do, and not for very long. And certainly not for as long as I could when I was in college. When I was in college, I could be like, oh, you want to hear Othello? What part? The many reasons I'm single. But, you know. There's, you know, that's dumb. There's no reason to be ashamed of having been educated. Being educated is a privilege, and it's kind of stupid that society tells us, or at least tells girls, that, you know, you're completely undesirable if you know a lot of shit. And I know a lot of shit. More than I give myself credit for. You know, I tend to feel inadequate a lot, but, you know, I'm pretty fucking awesome, if I do say so myself, and I do. So there. So deal with it. So awesome, I just killed that demo man, in fact. Who is hurting me and why? So weird and lagged out, and I didn't know what was happening, but I tried to stay alive. If you have an education, you should be proud of it. If you're getting an education, you should be proud of it. You know, damn it. I'm just gonna...
5, 4, 3, 2,
round 1. It's a soccer ball. Alright. Same guy, man. Same guy dominating me. Ooh, Race Pharrell. This guy named, like, I legitimately like country music or something like that. And I'm like, I dig the mamas and the papas. Damn it. DGW. Taken down by my own friend. So-called friend. Are you serious, bro? I genuinely like country music, that's what it is. I genuinely like country music. From Lake Williams to Rascal Flats. I think Country music's awesome and it really is where it's at. The message may not move me or mean a great deal to me, but man it feels so groovy to ouch! Oh, Saint fucking God! Fucking serious, are you fucking serious? Wow, that was a cool death. He's just like, whee! He's like the guy who falls off the Titanic and hits the fan blade. I haven't even seen Titanic and I know that scene because thank you, internet. Being dominated by 2 players. Why did I give up my higher ground, which was safer and better, a better spot? Yeah, I'm smart. Smirt. S-M-U-R-T, smirt. Yeah, I got my revenge. Revenge is the dish best served riddled with bullets. Well, that was convenient. Ow. Bloody spy! When I woke up this morning, I was on fire. I was on fire. Suck it. I never saw him. I never saw wrist. Wrist. Reach the final terminus. It's the final terminus. Game don't crash. Yay, oh, look at that, I'm almost to level 2! Woo! Alright, I'm gonna end this episode here. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment is even better, subscribe if you haven't already, and until next time, stay beautiful. Peace!